All right, it is 11 a.m. Eastern. We are going to go ahead and get started with the webinar for today. So, hi everyone. My name is Aaron Laau. I'm a Senior Manager of Business Development with Dextera Datamatics. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really thrilled and excited to present some really cool technology and new innovations for everyone that has joined us today. Um, so in this webinar series, if any of you were a part of the last series, it is all about unleashing Salesforce AI for your business, for your enterprise. And series 2 today is going to be specifically about AI for sales and how to unlock um, new AI features and functionalities for your sales teams. Um, Couple quick housekeeping items. We definitely want this webinar to be as interactive as possible. Throughout the webinar, there's going to be a couple poll questions for the group. We ask you to please participate in those poll questions. It really helps us understand what's most important to you and why you came to this webinar today. We also have an area to ask questions, and we're going to save some time at the end after Josh's demo to do some Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask those questions at any point throughout the webinar. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers here in just a moment. First, quickly going to introduce our organization to you. Dextera Datamatics. We are a Salesforce SI or systems integrator, a Salesforce partner. We implement Salesforce technology for companies large and small across the mainly across the United States and other areas in the world. We have over 250 Salesforce professionals, hundreds of satisfied customers, and do projects of, as I said, all shapes and sizes, implementing Salesforce technology, including some of these cool AI features you're going to see today. As I mentioned, today's series is the second part of our webinar series on unleashing AI for your enterprise. Today is all about AI for your sales processes. We're going to dive into how Salesforce AI can power sales, drive insights, automations, and predictions for your organization. We're also going to see a demo from our technology director, Josh Packer. So before I formally introduce Josh and Garrett, I'm going to go ahead and start with our poll question today. So let's go ahead and launch that poll question if we can. So first question on Salesforce Sales AI. A little question about how ready is your organization to adopt Salesforce AI? So thinking about your organization today, where are you at, right? Where's the organization at when it comes to AI? And maybe as it relates to sales, maybe it doesn't have to relate specifically to sales, but just maybe adopting AI in general. Are we fully ready? Do we have a strategy? Do we have resources in place? Do we think we're partially ready? Maybe in the planning phase, starting to talk about some use cases, right? Maybe talking about a proof of concept. Or are we not ready yet? Are we just kind of learning and trying to understand where to get started? So we'll leave that poll question up for a few seconds here as we go through the agenda. So today, our first speaker is Josh Packer. Josh is the technology director with Dextera Datamatics. Josh has been working in the Salesforce ecosystem for, gosh, what, Josh, over 12 years, and has implemented. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to shortchange you.
No worries.
And Josh has been implementing Salesforce solutions for many of our customers over the years. So Josh is going to get into an overview of the AI features available today for sales on Salesforce, specifically diving into AgentForce, predictive AI, generative AI, and conversation intelligence. And then we're going to hear from Garrett Brooker. Garrett is our Vice President of Customer Success. Garrett oversees our delivery team and make sure our whole operation is running smoothly and our customers are very happy. Garrett's going to be talking about how does this apply? How does AI apply to my business, right? What is it going to do for us? He's also going to cover a really nice resource for our customers and actually anyone on this call today. Great resource to use to get started in using AI. And then Josh is going to go through a quick demo to end the webinar for today. So, all right, back to the poll question. It looks like we got a split decision across all three. It looks like 33% across the board for fully ready, partially ready, and not ready. So that's good. We have a wide variety of our audience in different areas of readiness to adopt AI. So excellent. Thank you for participating. And with that, Josh, I will go ahead and move to the next slide and pass it over to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys joining us today. And for those who responded on the poll, I know it's just a handful of you guys, but yeah, that's kind of typical of what we see in working with our clients that, people are all over the board in terms of readiness. Some have already implemented some stuff. Some are just kind of getting going. Some are trying to put together plans and that kind of stuff. So this slide here kind of talks a little bit about, it's just a review from our first session, but this is kind of the different types of AI. I'll hit this high level and then we'll dive deeper into kind of the features and functionality that Salesforce has in each of these categories. So predictive AI is obviously, this is it's been around a long time. This is what you think of in terms of, a lot of machine learning and intelligence and lots of data and huge data sets and having a model that analyzes that data and learns from it, and then as that data changes makes more references and that kind of stuff, and learns as the data changes. The model can change as well, and basically looks at learning from your historical data to help predict the future. Generative AI is relatively new. This is something big, I mean, this week ChatGPT turned 2 years old with ChatGPT, and generative AI is exactly that. It's generating content out of prompts, and that prompt might be a simple sentence, that prompt might be several paragraphs of exactly what you're trying to get, but then the generative AI based on a large language model and lots of training and lots of exposure to all things out there in the world can come back with the response to whatever you prompt it with, and it's pretty exciting to see how quickly that's grown and how rapidly people are identifying use cases and expanding on new use cases and capabilities for generative AI. And that's kind of led to Agentic AI, which a lot of this stuff is kind of put together from years and years of practice. But what we're seeing now in the market is more Agentic AI, and this kind of the ultimate version of this is I think of Iron Man and Jarvis. He talks to an artificial intelligence and they carry on a conversation, and Jarvis is able to do specific tasks autonomously and doesn't require a whole lot of direction. And ultimately, I think that's kind of where this is going. Where we're at with it is kind of on the beginning stages of that, with autonomous agents that can act in your behalf, but right now kind of perfecting those interfaces. We got a chat interface or SMS or that kind of stuff on, and this is going to grow and become rapidly. I think we'll see some major changes, just like we have in generative AI in the last couple of years. We'll see major changes in agentic AI over the next few years. So Agentic AI, again, this is scaling your teams with autonomous agents. And you can click to the next slide there, Aaron. The big announcement from Salesforce this year, obviously, is AgentForce and how Salesforce is going about utilizing agentic AI. And so, if you can click back one more, and we'll talk about AgentForce for just a minute here. I just want to make sure everybody's kind of clear on this because we do get a lot of questions. A lot of people, a lot of our clients and stuff don't fully kind of comprehend exactly what AgentForce is, and kind of the official explanation is an AgentForce agent is a proactive autonomous application that provides specialized always-on support to employees or customers. They're equipped with the necessary business knowledge to execute tasks according to their specific role. So you can see there's multiple different agents here. Salesforce has these characters that are all in charge of different aspects of the organization. And you can create agents, a sales agent, a service agent, a medical agent, different industries, financial services agent, that kind of stuff. Just to help understand it a little bit deeper, because there are some common misconceptions and stuff. I think a lot of people, when they think of an agent, they think of maybe a chatbot or Copilot, Copilot inside of Salesforce and asking your questions and interacting with your data. And AgentForce is kind of that next generation, that next version of Copilot, but it's not just Copilot repackaged. It's a much wider paradigm shift with a lot more capabilities where AI is actually given the agency to perform tasks on behalf of humans. Another thing we hear quite a bit is the cost, in terms of it's a new pricing model from Salesforce, obviously, and rather than being a licensing model, it's more of a usage-based model, and could be considered expensive, not necessarily. What it ends up being is Salesforce has identified this as usage-based of up to $2 per conversation, whatever you negotiate with Salesforce, but if you think of, like an old style chatbot that resets a password, it might be pretty expensive to pay $2 to reset a bunch of passwords or whatever. But if you think of an agent that you're fully ready for, and you utilize knowledge and have data in your system, sufficient that you can train this agent that like in a medical field to sit down and take a full medical history of a patient and express empathy and interact like a human, capturing all of that data and then answering any questions about an upcoming procedure and then scheduling that procedure. All of that, might take a human over an hour. $2 is a pretty good deal for that. So I think the value of AgentForce is going to be in exactly how prepared and how people are able to implement it for their business. So start thinking about, your sales teams, your service teams, what kind of things they spend their time on that might be able to be delegated to an agent. And if you're able to build it out to be sufficiently valuable, it can cause some immense scalability for your business and tremendous cost savings as well. So awesome. So AgentForce for sales. So with AgentForce, basically Salesforce has 3 agents right out of the box that they've kind of pre-configured for people. One we'll talk about in our next one, which is AgentForce for service. But for sales specifically, we've got an AgentForce SDR, which is like a sales development representative. So this would be an agent who can go out and autonomously answer product questions and book meetings and act and respond accurately with based on information that's grounded in your business data in your Salesforce instance. And so that's kind of, with this graphic, that's like your customer facing one that is going to nurture your leads and and help prepare them and then hand off warm leads essentially to your sales agents. They also have put together another one here on the back side here that's an AgentForce sales coach. And this one's kind of an interesting concept. This one it's got multiple different features and functionality, but some primary stuff is, role playing. You can interact with this sales coach, and as you're prepping for a meeting, you know, you can basically have a meeting with this AI sales coach. With it's got a little avatar and it will respond to you, and you can make your pitch and it'll give you responses based on your pitch and tell you how you can improve and what you can say a little bit differently to address concerns, or make sure you have the best opportunity at closing those deals. And there's even the ability to have that sales coach join your sales calls, which I'm interested in seeing how many people actually do that. But some really great functionality, I think, between these two agents. And these ones are actually being released this week, and so we're excited to get going on implementing these with some of our customers who are ready for them. So let's go ahead and jump into predictive AI. So that was the agentic AI version, the all the new stuff with AgentForce and sales agents and the sales coaching and predictive AI. There's a lot of stuff here that reminder, this is the looking at your historical data and making predictions and you know having like machine learning capabilities. So click through and there's a few things that Salesforce marketing identifies here as basically predictive intelligence here. One of them is activity capture, and this has to do with getting all of your activities into Salesforce in terms of syncing with Outlook or Gmail, getting your emails that are going back and forth to clients, and your meetings and your call notes and all that kind of stuff. And while that is more of an integration and not specifically artificial intelligence, what it does is it enables the artificial intelligence significantly by having much, much more data on your opportunity or your lead records to be able to learn from and identify for, for scoring capabilities and for identifying likelihood to close and all that kind of stuff. And so, very tremendous amount of data. The more data and the more accurate data you have in each of your records, the more beneficial your AI is going to be, because it has more to learn from. That's why we see these large language models for generative AI that have billions of records that they've learned from. So next is AI-driven deal insights. We've got, this is like lead scoring and opportunity scoring, that kind of stuff, where AI takes a look at your historical data, assigns scores, allows you to kind of prioritize your opportunities, focus on the ones that are most likely to close, makes your agents more productive and ultimately more valuable by spending time on more value-added activities. So, and then the predictive forecasting. This is taking all of that data and incorporating it into forecasts, and you can imagine being able to have data of calls and transcripts and emails and meetings and all that kind of stuff is going to be a whole lot more beneficial than just looking, last year we closed X amount, this month, this year we anticipate 10% more or whatever. This makes your prediction that much more intelligent. So now let's talk generative AI. So this again, think of your chat GPTs and Claudes and of the world and Gemini's. Generative AI, this is not necessarily historically data driven, but this is generating content. So a few things that Salesforce has to generate that content here are like sales emails, there's a whole prompt builder in the back end that you can generate professional emails. You can help sellers make introductions, all of these kind of things on the fly that are they're grounded in Salesforce data. So you pull information right off of your contact or lead record or your opportunity, and just say, generate me a follow-up email for this client. And the cool thing about it is, because it's from an LLM, there's multiple different levels of personality type stuff. You can make it very professional, you can make it more friendly, more casual, some pretty exciting stuff. And it generates emails on the fly that you can then utilize to send to your customers, not have to spend all the time trying to come up with the perfect wording for an email template. So, and then call summaries and exploration. This is a really fantastic use of generative AI, summarizing calls. And hopefully you guys have experienced, things through Zoom or Teams, or all the different things. There's they offer their own, versus there's also call summarization companies out there that do this kind of stuff. But you sit down and you have an hour meeting with the client, and instantly you get an email, of here's a few paragraphs to summarize the meetings, of the bullet points of the main stuff, and captures all of your action items and who's responsible for what to follow through. And Salesforce has that capability as well, with different different features and functionality that you can summarize basically any transcript, a text message thread, a chat transcript, recording and transcribing calls, and then summarizing those. And so from those summaries, you can learn quite a bit, and then even roll it up to kind of the next level, individual calls, gather the sentiment, and then ultimately at an account level, kind of generate a personalized close plan, or on an opportunity. You've had multiple calls, you can see the sentiment of each call, and garner insights and stuff. But by analyzing all of them together, you can have AI take a look at the opportunity data along with all those transcripts and generate a close plan. Here's what you need to do based on other information, step by step, your best likelihood of closing this deal. And that's pretty exciting things to give you a step by step pathway. Another cool feature here is prospect and account research. Salesforce, obviously, you can have a lot of data. If you're doing activity capture, there's even more data there. But even data outside of your Salesforce, with larger customers, might be in the news, different things. You can do like basically a prompt that'll reach out to the LLM and say, hey, what's going on with my customer in the news, and come back and summarize, here's the top 5 bullet points of what's happening with this client, and so you're aware, and don't have to spend hours and hours following every client on every website, kind of a thing. You can understand and have AI kind of do that heavy lifting for you, which is pretty cool. Let's bounce to the next one here. Oh, yes, conversation intelligence. So let's go through. So all of these ones we've been talking about are kind of the building blocks of putting things together. These are kind of the base level things that Salesforce has kind of packaged. And some of them are great standalones. Some of them, the real synergy comes from kind of combining them and putting those things together. And conversation insights is an example of that. With those transcripts and mining these conversations, you're able to get a bird's eye view of what's happening, and you can get the details and look for specific insights from those conversations. You can get sentiment analysis, that kind of stuff. See what your clients are saying about your competitors, that kind of stuff. Packaging these, and kind of utilizing these different functionalities together, then you're able to kind of take it to the next level. In this case, with those call recordings and call summaries and that kind of stuff, you can turn around and use those to train new sales reps and ramp up new hires faster and do kind of self-service onboarding of here's examples of successful calls and make milestone progress through reviewing kind of how your business does work and able to then essentially, speed up the onboarding process and, in addition to making your agents more, your sales and your service agents more effective, you can speed up ramp up times and any kind of gains in efficiency across your organization, they add up. So what we want to do now is kind of transition. I've kind of talked about the building blocks, and Garrett's gonna talk about what this means for your business and some of these things, how they fit into your sales process. So Garrett, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, so great background, as Josh kind of touched on here, of all the building blocks, to use that term that he mentioned, and basically some of the offerings, right, that Salesforce has. But we also know from working with some of you and some of our other clients that this can be very confusing of kind of how do I actually apply it, right? And so that's what we're going to touch on here and kind of try and connect the dots for you. So to do that, what we've done is kind of created this standard sales process. I know maybe depending on your business, it might be a little bit different, but I think it's something we probably can all relate to, the various stages that you go through in selling whatever products or services you guys might offer. And so with this, we kind of step through each of those stages across the top. What we've tried to do then is map that, if you will, underneath to the various offerings that Salesforce has. Okay. And again, I know sometimes this can be confusing, but the idea here is to take this, if you were to engage with us on some initiatives here, we would look at your sales process and look at those stages that you have, and then look at the various offerings or features and functions that Salesforce offers from an AI perspective, and then apply those and highlight those to you for each stage. As you can see, and I'm not going to go through each one of these, but as you can see, some of the AI tools or features can apply across multiple stages as well. And it really does come down to evaluating each of these against your specific needs and where would you find value. Also, part of it is looking at your data as well and saying, okay, how are you structuring your leads, or how are you structuring your opportunities, and being able to use that data with the appropriate AI feature in order to then provide you insights or help you generate some of the options that Josh has touched on as well. So that's kind of how this process works. And again, I don't want to go through each one of them. Josh has touched on a lot of them, but that's kind of how we would step through this for your organization. Okay, great. Next slide, please. So Josh has put together this awesome little tool for us that we can share with you. The other piece we found as you try and take all the different AI features and functions that Salesforce offers and trying to figure out how does that apply to your current Salesforce org in your current version of your Salesforce org. So, as some of you might realize, there's various different levels. We call it an instance here up in the upper right. And so large majority of you probably using enterprise, but some of you also might be using unlimited, for example. What we find is Salesforce has included some licensing with each of these, depending on which one you have. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to buy extra licensing. That's what that next section there is around additional licensing. Um, what this ultimately drives, though, is on the left-hand side, what features are then available to you based on the combination of that instance type and the licensing that you have, okay? And so based on that previous slide I showed you, as we walk through that sales process with you and identify what are the key AI features that you would like to enable for your organization, that maps back to this list on the left-hand side. And so this is in essence connecting the dots, hopefully, between here's what you'd like to utilize from an AI standpoint. Here's what you currently have available to you within your Salesforce org, or what additional licensing you might need to take advantage of the desired features that you want. Okay. So again, I know this can be confusing. We're just trying to give you some tools and some capabilities to take this and practically analyze it and apply it for you. But these are the things we would step through with you as part of an engagement, and ultimately come to you, provide this spreadsheet to you, and then work with you if additional licensing required with your Salesforce account executive to get that procured and then ultimately help you set that up as well. All right. Next slide. Turn it back to Josh and let him give you guys a demo and a little sneak peek of some of these features.
Yeah, can we bring up our second poll question? Just one more question here to see. We got a question here for you. What's the primary challenge your organization faces in automating sales processes? And this is kind of across the board of the different organizations that we work with, but lack of data, limited budget, resistance to change, unclear on your ROI, or there's a whole host of other ones. But interested in you guys' perspective here, because just like our first poll question, what we've seen with our clients is kind of across the board here. A lot of sometimes it's just education about what's available, and sometimes it's specific use cases that they're trying to identify, the best way to handle those. And so go ahead and respond to that, and we'll switch over, and Aaron, if you want to stop sharing, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we can start with the demo here. Looks like got results here, got lack of data, limited budget, and a whole host of others. Yep, so stuff that we didn't identify on here. So excellent. Appreciate everybody responding on that, and allowing us to learn from you. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, share right there. Wanted to show you really quickly that kind of that spreadsheet that Garrett was just talking about. We're just trying to make it easy for people to know where am I, with in terms of my current licensing, and what kind of things are available without any additional cost. And then if there are things that you want to take advantage of, that have additional costs, then we can help you kind of figure that piece out here as well. And this is the right half of that spreadsheet, basically just these questions right here. And if you guys, if you're interested in this, you can go here to our dexterra.com/sales AI and just fill this out. And, what's your instance? Do you have any additional licensing? If not, no big deal. We can, and we're happy to provide you a copy of that, what you currently qualify for. And, if there are features available, what potential additional licenses you may want to consider if there's things that you really want to take advantage of. The last stuff is feature usage stuff of, Are you using activity capture, forecasting, or recordings? Because there's some of the things are specific to those. So if you're not using them, then it doesn't make sense to maybe that's a further down the road kind of a thing. And then for all the predictive ones, this is data usage stuff of some specific record counts to make sure there's minimum record counts to ensure basically that Salesforce's algorithms will be successful in learning from your data. And so feel free if you guys are interested to go there and kind of check that out. But wanted to hit just a couple of just useful use cases, hopefully 3 quick ones here that have to do with kind of the sales
Josh,
AI.
Josh, hi, Tanvi here. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes. Oh, am I not? Hang
Yeah.
on.
No, it wasn't shared. Yes, we can see it now.
It wasn't sharing. I apologize. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Dang it. Again, it's the difference between Teams and Zoom. So I apologize for that. This is the website I was just talking about here. Just 14 quick questions you can fill out, and what that basically does is then we'll send you essentially this is a personalized copy of the things, based on your current usage, what kind of things can you take advantage of immediately? And then if there's other things that you're interested in, kind of a guided path of how you can take advantage of those. So, yep. You guys seeing my screen now? Hopefully. Good. All
Yeah,
right.
Josh, we can see it.
Okay, sorry about that. Lots going on here, so awesome. So jumping into to our use cases and stuff, a few different things wanted to just show, and really 3 quick use cases that don't necessarily, individually take a whole lot of time or effort, but can absolutely add up. And so to introduce this, I wanted to kind of just introduce kind of the company, the scenario that we're working with here. And this is a good one that's based on some trailheads and stuff, but uh, Salesforce created this company called Tranquil Trails that basically offers fitness classes and fitness coaching and that kind of stuff. And before people get in line, before people take advantage of that, they've got a community portal that there's a survey out there where potential clients will go in and kind of fill out a survey. And one of the things in the survey is a goals and interests. And you can kind of see it creates a fitness record here with some of their interests and their goals. But because they're all over the world and stuff, a lot of these goals and interests in the things that aren't in the drop downs and stuff, some stuff can come in different languages, and they always have a coach that speaks the same language, but not necessarily managers and roll up to corporate and stuff. And so basically when somebody goes and they fill out the survey and they put it in their specific language, wanted the ability essentially to just translate it on the fly. And so, you know, internally they have people who could go in and translate all that stuff, but you know what? Large language models speak all of these languages, and so to take advantage of some efficiencies, basically what we did is created a prompt, and we'll show you the prompt here in the back end in a second, but it basically says, hey, you know what, if the survey input field comes in, we're creating a fitness record, and survey input is in a language that's not English, then go ahead and translate it into English. And then a flow that just sends this out to the LLM, triggers the prompt. And, as these records get created, they come in with both of these things filled out. This one obviously hadn't been filled out prior. And so this was an existing record. We'll go ahead and just edit and then save to trigger that flow. And it'll send this out to the LLM and should translate. And so, yeah, instantly we've got a translation of whatever that survey input was, and that just comes in with the records here. If we look at the back end, it's relatively straightforward, kind of nice. This is the prompt builder behind, and basically say if the content in survey input is not in English, translated into English. And then we've got a little flow that triggers that prompt and saves it to the record, and saves a whole ton of time and effort, and managers who don't speaking, whatever language they're looking at can, even prior to talking to the coaches, can have access to all this translated data. So another example is, sometimes people are filling out multiple of these records. You can see on this specific one, we just have the one, but here's another use case where we've got Robinette here who's got multiple, in this case, just a couple, but rather than diving into the specific fitness records and trying to learn from, 10 or 20 different fields on each one and reviewing this kind of stuff, we can take and utilize AI to summarize these records and put it right at the contact level. And that's what we've done right here is in this interest summary. This summary right here has been generated just by another prompt that says, you know what, for this contact, go out and take all of the fitness records, summarize them, put them in a nice bulleted list, add some emojis, and save it to the record. And that's exactly what we've got right here. And you can kind of see the prompt. It has the fitness related list and the contact. Here we've got Robinette. We can within Prompt Builder, as you're building these, you can kind of preview and test it. In this case, we're utilizing Robinette. We're sending it out to ChatGPT Turbo and generate. This is all the information, the specific records that we sent over, and the information that we send over in our prompt. And this is the response that we get back, a nice, clear, short summary with some bullet points, some emojis, and because it's generative AI, it's not identical each time. They can take a look and, identify specific things in the record that based on the instructions that we've given here. And, we're looking for a clear, concise, straightforward language, friendly tone, all that kind of stuff. And so that comes back and pops right onto the contact record and saves the time of diving into multiple fitness records there potentially. Third use case here is sales emails and stuff. We're talking about emails, and here we're on a contact Robinette still, and we if we go into email, those of you who are familiar with Salesforce know you can have email templates and that kind of stuff that if you've spent the time to craft the perfect email, you can access those right here. But here you can also draft with Einstein and specific ones. In this case, we've got an email here that a program recommendation. So this one is a little bit more involved. So what it does is, it includes the sender name, the recipient, and it includes the entire fitness related list. So based on what they've identified for their interests and stuff, we're going to recommend some categories and some programs that they may be interested in, and generate that right on the fly in a kind of a friendly tone. You go draft with Einstein here, and then right here there's some generic ones that Salesforce has put together, and then this custom one, recommend programs, and put it into an email template. We click there, it sends all that information out to the LLM, puts it together, generates an email, pops it right back in here. Obviously identifies Robinette and it identifies me and says, hey, based on your interests, here's some of the programs that we think that you would really, love taking advantage of. And all of this grounded in Salesforce data, but generated right on the fly. Salesperson can kind of review this. If it's great, boom, send it right from here and they're good to go. If it's not, you can say, you know what, make it more casual or sound more professional or whatever you want to do, but send it directly from there and it shows up right here in your activity history. So taking advantage of some of these, kind of the building blocks that where you get incremental efficiencies can really, really add up and save your company a lot of time and effort over the course of, the way you guys do business. So we'll turn it back over to Aaron here for kind of Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Josh. Great demo. And we've had a couple questions come in, so thank you guys for asking questions. So Josh, I'll go ahead and read these off for you. 3 questions so far, all around AgentForce Sales Coach. Okay, so first question is, what data sources does AgentForce Sales Coach utilize?
That is a great question. Great question. So obviously it's got access to all of your internal data, but specifically Sales Coach, in addition to having your internal Salesforce data and access, to the specific record or opportunity or whatnot, it's been trained on a variety of different things. The specific, as I mentioned, the service coach came out, the AgentForce service came out back in October. The actual sales coach one is coming out this week, and so we don't have kind of the whole picture of the behind the scenes of exactly what it's been trained on. We're hoping to, by next week have all that information and stuff. But yeah, they've been training it based on, successful programs of what they've seen in the past, and Salesforce now is utilizing it internally as well, as what I just read a blog about this week. So maybe we can, as we come back to service here in a few weeks or whatnot, have an update there based on what they're releasing this week. So
Great. Yeah. Second question, also related to AgentForce Sales Coach. What are the security and privacy considerations for using Sales Coach?
yeah, that's another great question. One of the most beneficial things I think is to, the role playing kind of stuff that as you're going through and prepping, and getting kind of feedback, hopefully, people in the past have maybe done that with a coworker or something, get some gain efficiency there. All of that stuff is internal. The 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 piece that I'm interested in seeing if people actually utilize or not is having that sales coach available during your meetings. It, can join your meeting, utilize an avatar, looks like a person, just listens in and chimes in and can offer some advice. That one I'm really curious, because that to me, at this point I'm like, I don't know how much that's going to get utilized, but interested to seeing if people have, different perspective on that one. So
Yeah. Excellent, Josh. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're quite ready for that yet.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All right. Last one. How can AgentForce Sales Coach be used to accelerate sales rep onboarding?
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So each one of these agents that Salesforce is creating, and as I mentioned, similar to Copilot, but much, much bigger. They all have roles and they all have actions. And, we've got visibility into the back end of the service agent, and there's something like 15, like 7 roles and 20 something actions that service agent can take. Don't have visibility yet to the sales coach, but interested in seeing that. There's Salesforce obviously generating more specific roles and more specific actions for coaching. And a lot of that, I mean, they've got Gartner type stuff and Drucker business stuff all out on Salesforce. They take the best of the best and utilize that in what they do for training. But yeah, taking that to the next level, there's gonna be some cool out of the box things that come with that, obviously. But then it's fun, and it's possible to go in specific to your company and add additional roles and additional actions. And that's how we kind of train these agents. And we kind of alluded to it a little bit beforehand, like, hey, you know what, if we're summarizing our calls, let's give this AgentForce sales coach access to those summarized calls and maybe even the call recordings, and say, hey, you know what, here's some successful calls that we've had. Let's utilize those to onboard agents, and you can create those roles, create those actions. And the nice thing is it's not like programming stuff. It's not like, you have to know how to code to do this. It's going in, adding those roles is just a matter of natural language and defining the role and putting in natural language just instructions. Here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, and then testing it thoroughly before releasing it for sure. So
Great, great. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, and excellent questions on the sales coach. We had another question come in, Josh, through chat. Can we tailor AI models to suit our unique sales processes?
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the whole point of doing it, and specifically to your org, it's nice, you've got, maybe multiple sales processes based on product type or division or anything there. And absolutely the models are all there. You've got control over, for the predictive stuff, what data that those predictive models learn from. And then, as you saw in the prompt builder stuff, instructions and everything there. But even if you're using generative AI, you've got complete control over exactly what you can include or can't include in your prompt, as well as instructions of what to do, what not to do, specific to your sales process or specific stages in your sales process or anything like that. And then the other beautiful thing is that all of that generative AI stuff is coupled by the Einstein trust layer. And so, it's not like, if you send it out to GPT-4 Turbo, ChatGPT is not learning from your customer data. They don't ever see your data. They see, the prompt and then return, but there's zero data retention out there. And you can feel comfortable that Salesforce has your best interest, and that you can trust that your data is not their product. So
Great, great. Excellent questions. And thank you, Josh. No more questions coming through, so we'll go ahead and close the webinar for today. Just wanted to say thank you for everyone who joined the session. Hopefully, we gave you some great information on, how to kind of get into this AI journey, how to practically adopt AI for your organization, and gave you some nice examples and use cases of how your sales team could benefit from some of these features. We're going to do a webinar very similar to this, but it's going to be all around customer service. So the next part of our series is likely going to be in January. The date is still TBD, so we'll be sure to get that date out to you and send that invitation here shortly. If anyone in your organization is in customer service, if your organization is using Salesforce for customer service, this will be a very informative and interesting topic to join. And also, if you have any colleagues, please feel free to invite them if the customer service is in their realm. So that's all for today. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Garrett. Thank you to all the attendees. Really appreciate it, and have a wonderful day.